Rain lashed the windshield of the black Mercedes, and the wipers were barely able to cope. Streams of water. Maxim Sergeyevich Volkonsky nervously drummed his fingers on the steering wheel, glancing at my watch. There were 40 minutes left before the meeting with the French partners. Minutes, and he was stuck on a country road because of an accident ahead. Damn it, why today? He muttered, jerking the steering wheel sharply to the right to avoid another pothole. The speed was too high for the weather, but the millionaire could not afford to be late for the negotiations that the fate of his company depended on it. Suddenly, a small figure flashed in the headlights. Maxim instinctively pressed the brake pedal to the floor. The car skidded. The tires squealed on the wet asphalt. Oh, God, not that. It flashed through head. The Mercedes stopped literally a couple of centimeters from the girl who stood on the side of the road, clutching a bundle wrapped in a blanket to her chest. Her huge brown eyes looked straight at him through the rain-stained glass, but there was nothing in them fear, only some kind of adult fatigue, unusual for a child. Maxim jumped out of the car, not paying attention to the fact that his expensive suit was instantly soaked. "What are you doing here? Where are your parents?" he shouted, running up to the girl. Up close, she looked even more pitiful, a wet coat, worn-out shoes. From the tied wet strands of dark hair were sticking out of the cap. Mom said to wait here," the girl answered quietly, hugging the bundle tighter, from which a weak squeak came. "A baby." Maxim felt his insides go cold. "Have you been waiting for a long time?" he asked, trying to speak softer. The girl shrugged. "I don't know, it's gotten dark." Maxim looked around. There wasn't a soul around. Only the occasional car sped past, splashing them with spray. "What's your name?" "Lisa. And this is Vanechka, my little brother." She opened the blanket slightly, showing the tiny face of a sleeping baby. "Lisa, listen to me carefully. It's very cold and dangerous to stand here now. Let me take you somewhere warm. Place, and then we'll find your mother. Okay." The girl shook her head. "Mom said don't go anywhere. She'll come back. But you're frozen. And the baby might be too. Get sick." Maxim tried to speak convincingly, although time was running out. The phone in my pocket was vibrating. Surely the secretary was reminding me of the meeting. "I can't leave you here alone. This dangerous." Lisa looked at him for a long moment, as if assessing whether he could trust. "Are you a good uncle?" she asked finally. "No, I'm good. I even have an ID." Maxim took out a business card. "You see, I'm the director. A large company. My name is Maxim Sergeyevich." The girl took the business card of her free hand, looked at it carefully, although she hardly knew how to read. "Okay," she said. She paused. "But if Mom comes and we are not there, she'll be upset. We'll leave her a note," Maxim quickly came up with, and a phone number so that she could call. He helped Lisa settle into the back seat, wrapped her in a blanket, which was lying in the car. The baby woke up and started crying. "He wants to eat," explained Lisa. "I have a bottle, but no milk." Maxim realized that he was in a difficult situation. On the one hand, the most important negotiations, on the other, 2 children, whom he could not quit. "Listen, Lisa, I need to go somewhere for work. It'll take an hour, maybe 2. Then we'll buy milk for Vanechka and find your mother." "Agreed." The girl nodded, rocking her brother. "Can we turn on some music? Vanechka loves it when music plays." All the way to the office, Maxim thought about how explain the appearance of children at the negotiations. The French were strict people, not suffering violations of protocol, but there was no choice. "Andrei," he called his deputy. "We have a force majeure. I will come with an escort. Prepare the conference room, have them bring baby food, diapers, everything necessary. And no questions asked." When the black Mercedes drove up to the business center building, the security guards were surprised exchanged glances as they saw their usually unflappable boss helping a little girl with a baby in her arms out. "Maxim Sergeyevich, maybe I should take the kids home," the head of the service suggested. "Safety." "No time, Petrovich, let them be with me." Lisa was silent in the elevator, looking at the mirrored walls with curiosity. Vanechka slept, sucking his fist. The conference room was already full of people. Representatives were sitting at a long table. French corporation Lumiere Industries, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Leroy, and Madame Marel. Volkonsky's side was represented by lawyers, financiers, and a translator. Everyone stood up when Maxim entered, but immediately froze when they saw his companions. "Gentlemen, I apologize for the slight delay and unusual circumstances." Maxim sat Lisa down in the chair next to him. "I hope this won't interfere with our work." Monsieur Dubois, a grey-haired man with a sharp gaze, frowned. "Monsieur Volkonsky, this is very unconventional." "I agree, but the circumstances have developed so that otherwise I would not have been able to attend the meeting at all. Please be understanding." Madame Marel, a woman of about 50 with a kind face, smiled. "Children are always a priority. Let's get started." The negotiations were tense. The French demanded 51 of the shares in exchange for investments. Maxim offered 35. Numbers, graphs, forecasts. All this flashed on the projector screen. Lisa sat quietly, feeding Vanechka from a bottle that the secretary had brought. Maxim kept an eye on the children, while simultaneously defending the interests of his company. "Mr. Volkonsky, the conditions are unacceptable." Monsieur Leroy spoke in French, apparently wanting to consult with his colleagues. "We cannot risk such sums for a smaller package. The company is on the verge of bankruptcy." Jacques is right. Supported him. "Dubois, maybe we should abandon the deal altogether? We'll find another investment object." And then something happened that no one expected. Lisa she raised her head and spoke in French, with a pure Parisian pronunciation. "Forgive me, sir, but you are wrong. Uncle Maxim's company is good. I saw papers in the car. There are a lot of numbers, and they grow upwards. As my mother taught me, this means things are going well. And bankruptcy is when the numbers go down. You want to buy cheaper because you think Uncle Maxim doesn't know the real price. But that's not fair." In the hall there was a dead silence. Maxim looked at the girl, not believing his ears. The French looked at each other in confusion. Madame Marel was the first to come to her senses. "The child, how do you know French?" "My mother taught me. She said that language is the key to the world. We have a lot of books in different languages at home. Mom worked translator until she gets sick." "What's wrong with your mother?" Madame asked softly. "Morel." Lisa lowered her eyes. "She's in the hospital. She said she'll get better soon, but she doesn't have any money. There is no medicine, so she took us to the highway and told us to wait. She said that someone kind will help." Maxim felt his heart ache. Now a lot became clear. "Lisa, what is your mother's last name?" he asked. "Savalieva. Elena Andreevna Savalieva. She is very smart, knows 5 languages." In the girl's voice sounded proud. Maxim quickly dialed his number assistant. "Urgently find information about Elena Savalieva, translator, and contact all the hospitals in the city." Meanwhile, Monsieur Dubois cleared his throat. "Mademoiselle Lisa is right about one thing. We did try to optimize the terms of the deal in my favor, but your remark honorably made me to think." He turned to Maxim. "Monsieur Volkonsky, let's get back to discussion. Perhaps 40 would be a fair share." The talks resumed, but the atmosphere had changed. The French became more open, more willing to compromise. Lisa sat quietly again, but Maxim noticed how attentively she was listening, sometimes frowning or nodding. When Monsieur Leroy suggested changing the payment scheme, the girl couldn't stand it again. "It's not profitable for Uncle Maxim. If you pay in parts with such percentages, it will be much more. Mom always counted on calculator when I took out a loan for my treatment." "Your treatment?" Maxim turned to the girl. "I had a bad heart, but now everything is fine. The operation was done in last year. Mom gave all the money away, even sold the apartment. We now rent a room." Lisa spoke about it calmly, without self-pity, simply stating the facts. Madame Marel got up from the table and went to the girl. "You can hold the baby." Lisa carefully handed Vanechka to her. "A beautiful boy. How old is he?" 4 months. He was born when my mother was already ill. We don't have a father. He left when he found out about Vanechka." Maxim felt something changing inside him. This little the girl with her adult eyes and unchildlike wisdom touched some strings of the soul, the existence of which he had forgotten over the years of business. "Gentlemen, I suggest we take a break," he said. "I need to take care of family matters. Circumstances." In his office, Maxim set up a real headquarters to search for Elena Savalieva. Half an hour later the information was found. Oncology Department City Hospital. The diagnosis is disappointing, but operable. Money is needed for treatment and expensive drugs. Pay for everything necessary, Maxim ordered, and transfer her to a private clinic. The best doctors, the best conditions. When he returned to the conference room, the French were quietly conferring about something. Lisa was dozing in a chair, holding her hands Vanechka. Monsieur Volkonsky began Dubois. We have made a decision. Considering the unusual circumstances and the wise remarks of your young consultant, we agree to your conditions. 35 and the right to manage the company remains with you. Maxim couldn't believe his ears. But why? What had changed? Madame Marel smiled. This girl reminded us that business is not just about numbers. It's about people, honor, decency. If a 6-year-old child understands this better than us adults, then we have something we do it wrong. In addition, the person who, in the midst of the most important negotiations, does not abandon children in trouble, is trustworthy. The documents were signed in record time. When the French delegation left, Monsieur Dubois delayed. Monsieur Volkonsky is a girl. She has exceptional abilities. If you need help with her education, please contact me. There are wonderful schools for gifted children in France. Thank you. I will take this into account. Left alone with the children, Maxim sat down next to Lisa. You saved my company. You know about it. The girl shrugged. I just told the truth. Mom taught me that the truth is always more important. Your mother is a wise woman. And you know what? I spoke to the doctors. Your mother will get better, I promise. We'll help her. Lisa's eyes filled with tears, the first of the evening. Really? You're not lying. I'm not lying. And you know what else? You won't live anymore. In a rented room. I have a big house. There's enough room for everyone. But my mom says that you can't accept such gifts from strangers. And we are no longer strangers. You called me Uncle Maxim, remember? The three of them arrived at the hospital. Elena Savalieva, a pale, emaciated, but still beautiful woman, could not believe her eyes when her daughter entered the room with a baby in her arms accompanied by an elegant man in an expensive suit. Lisa, my God, how you ended up here. I asked you to wait. Mom, don't cry. Uncle Maxim is good. He helped us and said that you will get better. Maxim tactfully left, giving the mother and daughter time to hug and cry. When he was called back, Elena looked at him with a mixed expression of gratitude and distrust. Forgive me, I don't even know your name. Maxim Volkonsky. Your daughter saved mine today. Company from collapse. It's the least I can do in return. He told about the events of the evening, and with each word Elena's eyes widened more and more. Lisa spoke in French. At the negotiations. Lord, forgive her. She's like that sometimes. Don't apologize. Thanks to her, I not only saved the company, but also received favorable conditions. Your daughter is a real miracle. Mr. Volkonsky. Maxim, I can't accept such help. It's too much. Elena, listen to me. I have everything. Money, power, success, but no family. My wife left 5 years ago, no children. I lived only for work. And today your daughter reminded me that there are things in life more important than profit. Let me help. Not out of pity, but out of gratitude. The following weeks flew by like one day. Elena was transferred to a better clinic, began a course of treatment. Maxim visited them every day, brought toys for Lisa, Vanechka's baby food, Elena's books. Gradually, a relationship was established between them. Warm, trusting relationship. Elena told her story, how was left alone with a sick child, how Vanechka's father was afraid of difficulties and disappeared, as she fought for her daughter's life, and then fell ill herself. Lisa blossomed before our eyes. In Maxim's house, where they were placed after being discharged Elena from the hospital, she turned from a quiet, serious girl into an ordinary, a cheerful child. However, it was difficult to call this child ordinary. In addition to French, she knew the basics of English and German and solved math problems at the 3rd level. Class and read avidly. She was always special, Elena said, watching her daughter explain the rules of chess to Maxim. She had been talking since she was 2 sentences. I read at 3, and at 4 I began to be interested in languages. Doctors say, a gifted child. But for me, she's just my girl. Maxim, I increasingly caught myself thinking that I was rushing home not because I was tired, but because I wanted to see Lisa meet him in the hallway with joy. Uncle Maxim came, how Vanechka would stretch out her hands to him, how Elena would smile from behind the kitchen table. His bachelor home was filled with life, children's laughter, and the smell of home-cooked food. One evening, when the children were sleeping and he and Elena were drinking tea on the terrace, Maxim decided to have a serious conversation. "Elena, I want to adopt Lisa and adopt Vanechka." The cup in the woman's hand shook. "What, Maxim, are you doing this? Why do you need this?" "Because I love them, because I want to be sure that they will always be protected, no matter what happened. They will have a father who will never abandon them." And I am the voice of Elena trembled. "What will happen to me?" Maxim took her hand. "And you will be their mother. Like always. Just maybe you'll agree to be my wife too." Elena looked at him, not believing her ears. "Maxim, you're doing this out of pity, out of gratitude?" "I do it out of love that has come unnoticed day after day. When you laugh at Lisa's jokes, when you rock Vanechka, when we have dinner together, I understand that there is happiness, something that I have lacked all my life." The wedding was modest, only the closest. Lisa carried the rings importantly. Vanechka slept in his godmother's arms. Madame Morel flew in specially from Paris. Mr. Dubois said in his speech, "Sometimes fate sends us trials that turn out to be gifts." Maxim almost hit a girl on the road and found a family. Lisa was looking for help and found her father. Business brought us together, but it was a little girl who taught us humanity. After the ceremony, when the guests had left and the children were asleep, Maxim and Elena stood in the garden of his home. "You know," said Maxim, "I've been building all my life business empire. I thought that was the point, but it turned out that real wealth is when there is to whom to say, 'I'm home,' and know that they are waiting for you there." Elena pressed herself against his shoulder. "Thank you for not driving by that rainy evening. I owe you one. Thank you. You saved me from loneliness, from the emptiness of meaningless success." In the morning they woke up with Lisa's joyful cry, "Mom! Dad!" Vanechka said to Mom, it's true, I heard." And while the whole family crowded around the crib, persuading the baby to repeat his feat, Maxim thought that no million-dollar contracts were worth this moment, when your daughter calls you dad, when your son says his first word, when your wife laughs, forgetting about her illness and fears. And in the office, in a frame on the table, there was a photograph from that rainy evening. A blurry CCTV shot of a man in an expensive suit runs in the rain towards a small figure on the side of the road. Caption read, "The moment I found my destiny." And every time I look at this photo before important negotiations, Maxim recalled the words of a little girl about honor and truth and made the right decisions. The story of how he almost hit a girl with a baby became a legend in business circles. But few knew the real ending, that this girl became his daughter, her brother, his son, and their mother, the love of his life. Because some miracles are too personal to share with the world. They are just live in the heart and make every day special. A month after the wedding, the life of the family Volkonskik entered into a measured course. Maxim left for work, kissing the sleeping children. Elena took care of the house and continued her treatment. Lisa went to elite gymnasium, and Vanechka grew by leaps and bounds. But the idyll lasted not long. "Maxim Sergeyevich, you have a visitor." The secretary's voice sounded on the intercom tensely. "Says that this concerns your family." Maxim frowned. "Let him come in." A man of about 50 years old, unshaven, entered the office, in a crumpled jacket. "Are you Volkonsky?" "The same one who adopted Elena's children, Savalieva." "Yes, it's me." "And who are you?" The man smiled wryly. "I'm Igor Petrov. Father Vanechka. A real father." Maxim felt how everything inside him went cold. "As far as I know, you abandoned the child before he was born." "Well, you know, things change." "I was scared then." "That's true. But now I heard. You are a rich man, and my son is now your heir." "What are you getting at?" "To the fact that I can challenge the adoption. I have the rights of a father. Of course, if let's agree amicably, I'll disappear forever." "How much?" he asked briefly Maxim. 5 million. And I will sign a waiver of all rights." Maxim got up from the table, out of my office. "And if you come near my family, I will destroy you." Petrov shrugged. "Shoulders. As you wish. See you in court." When the door closed behind him, Maxim grabbed the phone. "Andrei, Urgently connect me with the best family lawyers and strengthen the security of the house. In the evening he hesitated for a long time to tell Elena, but it was impossible to hide. Having heard Igor's name, she turned pale. No, not that. Maxim, he is a dangerous man. I was hiding from him like that. What do you mean? He raised his hand to me when found out about the pregnancy. He said that I got pregnant on purpose to catch him. And when I said that I would leave, he threatened that he would find and take the child away to annoy me. Why didn't you go to the police? He has connections. His brother is a big man in prosecutor's office. Igor always got out of the water dry. Maxim hugged his trembling wife. Don't be afraid. You're not alone now. We'll cope. But his soul was worried. He knew how the system works, and I understood that money does not always solve all problems. The following weeks turned into hell. Igor filed a lawsuit challenging the adoption, claiming that he had been deprived of parental rights under false pretenses. In the tabloids, articles appeared with the headlines, "A millionaire takes a child away from his own father and how much someone else's son is worth." Lisa came home from school crying. Her classmates teased her about being a bought daughter. "Dad," one evening she approached Maxim. "And if that uncle takes Vanechka, will you kick me and Mom out too?" Maxim pressed the girl to himself. "Never, do you hear? Never. You are my family forever. No one will take Ivanechka away, I promise." But he himself was not so sure. Lawyers warned that the chances were 50 on 50. The first court hearing was scheduled for the end of March. The courtroom was full of journalists. The story of a wealthy businessman who adopted a child prodigy after she saved his business has become sensation. Igor showed up in full dress with an expensive lawyer. "Your Honor," Petrov's lawyer began. "My client was misled. The child's mother hid the pregnancy from him, and then, taking advantage of his temporary confusion, deprive him of it. Parental rights. Now that he is ready to take responsibility, the child has already been adopted by another person. This is a violation of my client's rights." Lawyer Maxim objected. "Your Honor, Mr. Petrov gave up the child voluntarily. Moreover, there is evidence of the use of physical violence against the mother. My client saved this family from poverty and despair, provided the children with a decent future. Where is the proof of violence?" Petrov's lawyer retorted. "There were no statements and there was no police, no medical examinations either. The judge, an elderly woman, a woman with a tired face, carefully studied the documents. The court appoints psychological examination to determine in which family the child will be better off. It is also necessary to find out the opinion mother. The hearing is postponed for 2 weeks. As they leave the courtroom, they ran into Igor. "Well, Volkonsky, it's scary to lose the son we bought." Elena grabbed Maxim's hand. "No need. He's provoking." But Lisa got ahead. "You're bad. Man, you abandoned Vanechka when he was little. And Daddy Maxim loves us." Igor grinned. "Papa Maxim, girl, he's nobody to you. Just a rich uncle who bought you as a toy." "It's not true." Lisa was shaking with anger. "Dad saved us. We were standing in the rain, and he stopped. He could have driven past, but he didn't. And you don't even know what color Vanechka's eyes. Lisa, let's go." Elena picked up her daughter in her arms, but the girl continued to shout over her mother's shoulder. "Karya, he has Karya's eyes, and he loves when they sing to him. And you don't know this because you don't care." At home, Lisa couldn't calm down for a long time. "Mom, what if the court decides to give Vanechka to him?" "That won't happen, my dear. But what if we can't live without Vanechka, and Papa Maxim will be sad?" Elena stroked her daughter's head, she herself could barely holding back tears. "Papa Maxim is very strong. He will protect us." That night Maxim did not sleep. He stood by Vanechka's crib, looking at the sleeping baby and thought that he could not lose him. Over these months, this child became his own. The first steps, the first words, the first laughter. "I won't give it up," he whispered. "I won't give it up for anything." In the morning a private detective called, whom Maxim hired to gather information about Igor. "Maxim Sergeyevich, there is interesting news. Petrov is in debt a large sum to some people, very dangerous people, apparently. That's why he remembered about son. Need money. Dig further. I need everything, where it works, with who he communicates with, what he hides. The psychological examination was carried out on surprise smoothly. Vanechka, who was usually wary of strangers, calmly played in psychologist's office, while Maxim and Elena answered questions. "Like a child calls you?" the expert asked. "Dad," Maxim answered, and in his chest it got warmer. "And how does he react to your absence?" "He cries." Elena says that he meets me at the door when he hears the sound of the car. The conversation with Igor went otherwise. Vanechka, seeing a strange man, began to cry and asked to go to his mother. Igor awkwardly tried to pick him up, but the baby cried even louder. "What the hell, what?" Petrov muttered. "They've spoiled the child completely." To questions about the daily routine he couldn't answer about his son, nor about his favorite toys, food, or habits. Meanwhile, the detectives did their job. It turned out that Igor Petrov was twice convicted of fraud, had problems with gambling addiction and actually owed a large amount of money to criminals' creditors. Moreover, there were witnesses, neighbors from Elena's old apartment, who heard screams and saw bruises. At the decisive court hearing, Maxim's lawyer laid out all cards on the table. "Your Honor, the man claiming paternity is incapable to ensure the child's safety. He is involved in crime, has a criminal record, used violence against the child's mother. While my client provided the children with loving family, education, medical care. Psychological examination is definitely showed that the child perceives Mr. Volkonsky as a father." Lawyer Petrova tried to object, but the facts were irrefutable. When the judge asked the mother's opinion, Elena stood up. "Your Honor, I'm afraid of this man. He threatened me, beat me. I hid from him throughout my pregnancy. Maxim Volkonsky, the real father of my children. He was there when Vanechka was sick. He teaches Lisa to ride bicycle. He reads them fairy tales. Igor Petrov doesn't even know that his son was born with a heart defect and spent the first month of his life in intensive care. Where was he then?" "I didn't know," Igor shouted. "Because they didn't want to know," Elena snapped. "You said, I quote, 'good riddance,' and slammed the door." "And Maxim?" "Maxim cried when Vanechka got his first vaccination because the baby was in pain." The judge retired to consider her decision. That half hour seemed like an eternity. Lisa sat between Maxim and Elena, holding hands tightly. Finally, the judge returned. Having studied all the circumstances of the case, having heard the parties and having reviewed the expert's report, the court came to the conclusion that the cancellation of the adoption was contrary to the interests child. Igor Petrov's claim was rejected. Parental rights are retained Maxim Sergeyevich and Elena Andreevna Volkonsky. The hall exploded. The journalists rushed to the exit to be the first to report the sensation. Lisa threw herself on Maxim's neck with a squeal. "Dad, Daddy, I knew you would win." Elena cried, hugging Vanechka to her chest. Igor Petrov ran out of the hall, muttering a curse. In the evening, when the commotion had died down and the children were sleeping, Maxim and Elena were sitting in the living room. "You know," said Elena, "I'm going to sleep today. I realized one thing. Family is not blood. It's a choice. You chose us that rainy evening and every day you choose again. Maxim kissed her, and you chose me. Trusted a stranger. You were never a stranger. From the first minute, Lisa, I felt that you were the one who would protect us." A year passed. Maxim's business was flourishing. French investments allowed to enter the international market. Elena is completely recovered and returned to work. She now headed the translation department at husband's company. Lisa excelled in high school, mastering her sixth language, Japanese. Vanya made his first attempts to repeat foreign words after his sister, which delighted everyone. "Dad, I once asked Lisa, why did you stop then? You could have driven past." They were walking in park. Vanya stomped ahead, trying to catch up with the blue one. "You know, Princess, I sometimes think about it myself. Perhaps fate or a guardian angel directed me. Mom says it was Grandpa. My grandpa who passed away, he always said, 'Mom, help people, and they will help you.' Your grandfather was a wise man. Dad, do you have a photo of that evening? When you found us?" Maxim smiled. "Yes. From the surveillance camera. Do you want to see it?" "I do. And we'll show it to Vanechka, when he grows up. How Dad Maxim became our dad." At home, Maxim took out of the safe folder with documents from that time. There were photos from cameras and the first guardianship documents, and even that very business card he gave Lisa. "Look," he showed a blurry frame. Here you are standing. And here I am running to you. Lisa, carefully I looked at it. Where is Vanechka? You're holding him, see? Here's this bundle. Dad, and if you knew that there would be a trial and all these problems later, would you still stop? Maxim, without thinking, answered, Of course. Do you know why? Because in that evening I saved not only you. I saved myself from loneliness, from meaninglessness, from life only for the sake of money. You gave me something that you can't buy for any amount of money. Millions. What? Love, a real family, the opportunity to be needed not as a boss or a sponsor, but as a dad. This is more precious than anything peace contracts. Lisa hugged him. I love you, Dad. And Vanechka loves you, and so does Mom. We are together forever now. Yes, forever, Princess. No matter what happens. In this at that moment Elena entered the living room with Vanya in her arms. What are you two secretly chatting about? Dad showed a photo of how he saved us, Lisa happily said. And then the most, Elena smiled. You know, Maxim, I also sometimes look at and I think, how lucky we are that you were there, at that very moment. It's not luck, Maxim objected. It's fate. We had to meet. Vanya extended his hands to him. Dad. Maxim picked up his son. What, a hero. Let's fly. And he spun around the room with the child under happy whiskey. Later, when the children were playing, Elena confessed, You know, because that evening I was already in despair. I thought that this was the end, and when I screamed at your car, rushing straight at Lisa, but no one heard me. And then you stopped, ran out into the rain in your expensive suit. And I realized, that's it. He is a man sent by heaven. Were you there? Maxim was surprised. In the bushes, about 50 meters away. I couldn't leave the children completely alone, but I couldn't show up either. What if I called the police, and they could take away my children's medical debts? I prayed for someone kind to stop. And you did. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I was ashamed. What did you bring the children to? But another, I didn't see a way out. I couldn't die. The children would have been left completely alone. And so it was hope. Maxim hugged his wife. It's all over. Now the children have a mom, and a dad, and home where they are loved. That evening at dinner, Lisa suddenly said, Let's we celebrate the holiday on this day every year. What holiday? Elena asked. The day Dad found us. March 18th. Our family day. Maxim and Elena looked at each other. Great idea, Princess. Let's do that. And since then, March 18th became a special day in the Volkonsky family. They always drove along that very road, stopped at that place. The first time was sad. Everyone remembered how scary and lonely it was then. But with each passing year the memories brightened, were filled with gratitude to fate for that meeting. When Vanya turned 5, he already understood the story and proudly told in kindergarten, My dad is a hero. He saved me and Lisa from the rain, and Lisa added from loneliness. He saved everyone, both us and himself. For the 10th anniversary of that meeting, Maxim decided to make a special gift. He founded a charity to help lonely people mothers with children, calling it Stop and Help. Elena became the director of the foundation, and Lisa, who was already 16, helped with the translation of documents for mothers migrants. At the foundation's presentation, Maxim said, 10 years ago, I almost drove past my happiness. I was rushing to an important meeting. I was thinking only about profit, but I stopped, and my life changed forever. I found family, love, meaning. This fund is for those who found themselves on the sidelines of life, so that every child has a chance to find their own dad, and every mother has support in difficult times. French partners, with who started it all, became the main sponsors of the foundation. Monsieur Dubois said in his speech, I will never forget that girl who taught us a lesson in honor in business negotiations. Lisa Volkonskaya recalled, We know that business is people, and I am happy to support a foundation that will help others' children find their way. After the presentation, a woman with a child approached Maxim. Thank you. My daughter and I lived in a shelter for a year, and now, thanks to the foundation, I have an apartment and I can work. Maxim looked at her and saw Elena for 10 years back, exhausted but not broken. Thank you for not giving up. Lisa approached her father. Dad, do you remember how you said that a business empire is not the main wealth? I remember, princess. So, now you have an empire of good. This is better than any money. Maxim hugged his daughter. You're right. And you know what? It's you taught me. At the age of 6, she explained to grown-up uncles what honor was. I still remember. I just told the truth. Lisa smiled sheepishly. That's exactly it. Sometimes the truth is more important than all the strategies in the world. Dad, I want to become a lawyer to defend like we were then, so that no child would be left without a family because of bad laws. You will make a great lawyer. You have already won at the age of 6 negotiations with an international corporation. Vanya ran up to them. Dad, when I grow up, I will be like you, stopping and helping. This is the right decision, son. The most correct thing in life. Elena joined the family hug. My loves, how I love you all. That evening, already at home, Maxim took out the CCTV photo itself. Blurred, black and white, but so important. You know, he said, I often think what would have happened if I had driven past. I would probably have signed a contract on unfavorable terms. The company would have gone bankrupt. I would have been left alone, embittered by failure. And you? And we would have managed, firmly said Elena. Somehow, but it would be a completely different life. Difficult, hungry, without a dad for the kids. Without kids for a dad, corrected Maxim. I would remained childless. I would never have known what it was like to teach my son to ride a bike or to help him daughter with French, although she knows it better than me. It's fate, said Lisa. Grandpa from heaven directed your car to us. Or my guardian angel realized that I need a family, smiled Maxim. In any case, this is the best thing that happened in my life. The years went by. Lisa graduated with honors from the law department of Moscow State University. Then she got her master's degree in Sorbonne, returned to Russia, and became one of the leading family lawyers, defending single mothers for free. Vanya followed in his father's footsteps into business, but with a focus on social entrepreneurship. And the funds stop and help grow to federal scale. The entire extended family gathered for the 20th anniversary of that meeting. Lisa with her husband and 2 children. Vanya with his fiancée, friends, colleagues. In a toast Maxim said, 20 years ago I almost hit a girl with a baby on the highway. I stopped at the last moment, and this stop became the beginning of real life. Thank fate for that rainy evening. Thank Lisa for the lesson in honor. Thank you. To Elena for trust. Thank you, Vanya, for teaching me how to be a father. You are my greatest achievement, and you are our salvation, Elena replied. The man who didn't pass by. There are millions of successful businessmen in the world, but only one stopped that evening. Our dad, Maxim's little granddaughter, 5 years old Mashenka, tugged at his sleeve. Grandpa, show me the photo. Where did you save? Grandma, Mom, and Uncle Vanya? Maxim took out a yellowed photo. Look here. This your mom is standing in the rain. She's so little. Masha was surprised. She was only 6 years. How are you now? And I would stop too, said the granddaughter. It is impossible pass by when someone is feeling bad. That's right, smart girl. Your mom is feeling good educates. Lisa smiled. Did you educate us, Dad? By your example. Late in the evening, when the guests had left and the young people were putting their children to bed, Maxim and Elena went out garden. 20 years, Elena said thoughtfully. It seems like yesterday. And a whole life, answered Maxim. Remember, you asked what would happen to you when I suggested adopt children? I remember. I was so afraid that you were doing it out of pity, and I was afraid that you would agree out of gratitude, not love. We are stupid. Were. They didn't understand that love doesn't ask, it just comes and that's it. How rain that evening, as you in our lives. They stood, hugging, looking at the house full of light and laughter. Their home, their family, their happiness that began from the fact that a successful businessman did not drive past a girl with a baby on the side of a rainy highway. Maxim, Elena said quietly. What's up, darling? Thank you. For what? For stopping, for not being afraid of difficulties, for loving us, for becoming a real father to my children. For these 20 years of happiness. Thank you for believing, for raised such wonderful children, for becoming my wife, for made me happy. They kissed like 20 years ago, when they were just starting their journey together. And at home Lisa told the children their favorite fairy tale. Once upon a time there lived a lonely king in his rich castle. And one day during a storm he saw a little princess with a tiny prince on the road. The king saved them, brought them to the castle, and it turned out that it was not he who saved them, but they who saved him from loneliness and sadness. And they live, prosper and acquire wealth. Mom, this is about Grandpa, he guessed 7-year-old Alyosha. Of course, about his grandfather. About how he became our grandfather. And Princess, is that you? Me. And the little prince, Uncle Vanya? He is. Great. And the king and he was lonely, really. Very lonely, but never again, because now he has a large family. In the next room Vanya was putting his 1-year-old son to bed. Sleep, Maximka. When you grow up, I'll tell you why you were named after your grandfather. He's a hero, you know, the real one. And Maxim Sergeyevich Volkonsky, successful businessman, happy husband, father, and grandfather, that night again looked at old photo with a surveillance camera. The moment that changed everything. The second between drive past and stop. The choice that gave him real life. He carefully put the photo back in the folder where all the documents from that time were kept. The first application for guardianship, the decision adoption court, marriage certificate, first birthday photos Lisa in a new family, Vanya's first steps, holding his hands. The story of how he almost hit a girl with a baby was passed down in the family from generation to generation, but everyone told it in its own way. For Lisa, it was a story about the importance of telling the truth. For Vanya, it was about that a real father is not the one who gave birth, but the one who raised. For Elena, it's about believing in miracles, and for Maxim himself, it's about the fact that sometimes you need to stop at full speed to find your true happiness. And every time, driving along the highway, he would slow down at that very spot. Not out of superstition, just to remember and thank fate for the rain, for the traffic jam, for being late to negotiate, for everything that brought him to that girl with the baby, to his family, to his life. But the story didn't end there. A few months after the anniversary, an event that once again turned the life of the Volkonsky family upside down. Maxim received a letter from France. Sender, Notary Office in Paris. Dear Mr. Volkonsky, the letter said, we are forced to contact you regarding the inheritance of Madame Jean Dubois. According to her will, drawn up a week before death, you and your family are the main heirs. Maxim reread the letter 3 times. Jean Dubois, the mother of that very Monsieur Dubois, which he negotiated 20 years ago. Elena, he called to his wife. Look at this. Elena ran her eyes over the lines. But why us? We don't even knew her personally. I don't understand either. I need to contact Jacques. Call to Paris cleared up a lot. Monsieur Dubois, who is now over 70, the voice trembled with emotion. Maxim, my friend, my mother died 2 weeks ago. She was 94. In recent years she has talked a lot about your family, especially Lisa. Remember, I told her about that meeting, about the girl who taught us a lesson in honor. Mom was shocked. She lost her granddaughter at the same age. My sister and her family died in a car accident 15 years ago. And your Lisa. Mom said it was a sign from above. Jacques, but the inheritance. It's too much. We can't accept it. Maxim, it was her will. She left a letter for your family. And she also asked me to convey that she would like Lisa to continue one important matter. Come to Paris. I'll explain everything when we meet. In a week, the whole family Volkonskik landed at Charles de Gaulle Airport. Lisa took a vacation in her law firm. Vanya postponed an important deal. This is madness, repeated Elena. We are flying to collect an inheritance from a woman we have never seen. Mom, Lisa said, sometimes life gives you strange gifts. Remember, how did Dad stop then? It was also madness to take 2 strangers' children from the side of the road. A notary was waiting for them at the notary's office surprise. Besides money and real estate, Madame Dubois left them something more valuable. The charity foundation for helping orphans that she founded after the death of her granddaughter. Your Honor, the notary read the will. I am Jeanne Marie Dubois, being of sound mind and memory, bequeaths to the Nadezhda Foundation Marie to the Volkonsky family. I especially ask Elizaveta Volkonskaya to take over the management of the fund. This girl at 6 years old understood what many do not understand their whole lives. Money is nothing without honor and compassion. I believe that she will be able to help many children find their way. Lisa could not hold back tears, but I don't know if I can handle it. It's such a responsibility. Monsieur Dubois, who was present at the reading of the will, took her hand. Lisa, dear, my mother lived off this foundation in her last years. After my sister died, and she put all her pain and love into helping her family's children. But her strength is no longer the same. She was looking for a successor, a man with a pure heart. And when I told her about you, about when a little girl defended her honor in adult negotiations, her mother said, "This is the one who will continue the work." After the official part, Jacques invited them to his mother's house. A mansion in the suburbs of Paris was full of photographs of children, pupils of the foundation. Mom personally monitored for the fate of each, he said. Here is Pierre, now he is a doctor. And this is Marie. Mom named the foundation in honor of her granddaughter and this girl, the first student. She now teaches at the university. In Madame Dubois' office, in a prominent place, there was a photograph in a frame. Maxim recognized it immediately. It was a photo from a French newspapers from 20 years ago. The headline read, "6-year-old girl saves a Russian company from bankruptcy." In the photo, little Lisa in the conference room, surrounded by adults in business suits. Mom cut out this article and kept it all these years, Jacques explained. She said that this girl gave her back her faith in the future. On the table lay an envelope with an inscription to the Volkonsky family. Inside was a letter written in a trembling voice. Hand. My dears, we have never met, but I feel like I know you. Many years. Lisa, my girl, your story gave me the strength to live after the lost granddaughters. You reminded me that children are not only our pain, but also our hope. The Nadezhda Marie Foundation has helped hundreds of children, but I am old, and the cause must live on. I beg you, continue it. You have the main thing, a kind heart, and a clear mind. And your parents, an example of how love knows no boundaries of blood. I bless you all. Jeanne Dubois. That evening at the hotel, the family discussed the proposal for a long time. This means that I will have to visit France often, Lisa thought. But the fund helps so many children. We will open a branch in Russia, suggested Maxim. Let's join forces with our foundation. Imagine how many children we can help. Save us, like they once did, Vanya said quietly. Dad, do you remember how you said that do you want an empire of good? Here it is, international. The next day they visited one of orphanages under the care of the foundation. Director Madame Bernard met them with tears in my eyes. Madame Dubois said you would come. The children are so looking forward to meeting new management. The assembly hall was filled with pupils from toddlers to teenagers. Lisa was worried. Dad, what should I tell them? My French. Speak with your heart, advised Maxim. How then in negotiations? Elizarila said that she herself was a little girl, who was lucky to meet a kind person. About the fact that every child deserves love and a chance at happiness. That the foundation will continue its work and become even stronger. The children listened with bated breath. And when she finished, the little girl about 5 years old ran up and hugged her legs. Madam, are you really going to be our new Grandma Jeanne? I'll be your Aunt Lisa, she smiled through her tears. And I will come to you often. And my daughter Masha will come too. You will become friends. And is the gentleman with you the same one who saved you in the rain? Asked the boy. Older. Apparently, the story has already become a legend of the foundation. Yes, this is my dad. He taught me the main thing, don't pass by someone else's misfortune. The way back to Moscow passed in lively discussions of plans. Lisa was already building interaction schemes funds. Vanya proposed a business solution to increase funding. Elena thought about training programs for the students. You know, said Maxim, the circle closed in. I saved you. You saved my business. And now we are going to save it together. Other children. Upon returning to Moscow, the work began to boil. Lisa was torn between her law practice and the foundation, but she was happy. You know, Mom, she said to Elena, I always thought that my mission was to protect the rights of children in court, but now I understand that more can be done. Not just to protect, but also to give a chance for a new life. The first joint project of the Russian and French foundations was Bridges of Hope program. Exchange of experience between orphanages of the two countries. The students learned languages, communicated via video link, and the best students went to internship. Little Masha, Maxim's granddaughter, became a real mascot of the program. She easily found a common language with children, despite the language barrier. Deshka, she once said, Don't these children have a mom and dad? Maxim thought, choosing his words, sometimes it happens, honey, but we try to help them. How you helped grandma and mom? Yeah, something like that. Then I'll help too. When I grow up, I'll take everyone into my home. It's noble, but it's better to help them find their families. Okay, then I'll look for moms and dads for them. And Masha held back word. She came up with the project Letter to an Angel. The students wrote letters about their dreams, and the foundation published them with permission on the website. Many families responded. The adoption process has begun. During the first year of the program, families found 23 child. Lisa was proud of her daughter. She's like you, Dad, she can't pass by either. It's family, smiled Maxim. General indifference. At one of the meetings of the board of the funds, Vanya came up with a new idea. What if we create an international internship program for teenagers from kindergartens? Houses so that they could obtain a profession that is in demand in different countries? The idea was supported with enthusiasm. Mr. Dubois, despite his age, personally supervised the French part of the program. Maxim, he said, Mom would be happy to see her business grow. You gave the foundation a new lease of life. 3 years after the foundations began working together, organized an international conference, Childhood Without Borders. Representatives of charitable organizations arrived, organizations from all over the world. The keynote speaker was Lisa. She talked about her experience, from a girl from Sobashny to the head of the International Fund. Every child deserves a chance, she said from the podium. 25 years ago, this chance was given to me. A stranger stopped the car and changed 3 lives. Mine, my brother's and my mother's. Today we have the opportunity to be like that people for hundreds of children. Don't drive by, stop, help. It will change not only their lives, but yours too. After the conference, Lisa was approached by a middle-aged woman. Madame Volkonskaya. I am Marie Liblink. That same Marie, the first pupil of the Madame Dubois Foundation. Lisa hugged her. Marie, how happy I am. Jacques talked about you. I wanted to thank you for continuing business. And I also want to help. I now have my own family, a stable job. Time to pay back the debt. So the foundation got another volunteer, and then another and another. Former students returned to help the new generation. A real family was created, large, international, united not by blood, but love and the desire to help. Maxim was already over 70 when he's invited to speak at an economic forum with a report on the social responsibility of business. He thought for a long time what to say to people for whom profit is the main goal, and decided to tell his history. 28 years ago, I was rushing to important negotiations. The fate of my company depended on them. I almost hit a girl with a baby, standing on the side of the road. He could have driven on, time was running out, but he stopped. This stop cost me 20 minutes and gave me a family, the meaning of life, the present wealth. That girl now runs an international charity foundation. Her brother is a successful social entrepreneur, and I am the happiest man on earth because they call me Dad. Gentlemen, true success is not measured by numbers and reports, but amount of life that you have made better. The hall exploded with applause. After the speech, dozens of entrepreneurs approached Maxim, wanting to support the funds. But the most touching, there was a call from Lisa. Dad, I watched the broadcast. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for stop then. Thank you, Princess, for standing there, for that I believed, for what became my daughter. In the evening, the whole big family gathered for a festive dinner. 4 generations of the Volkonskys, Maxim with Elena, their children with their families, grandchildren, and even the first great-grandchildren. Grandfather Maxim, tell us story. The kids asked, and he told about a rainy evening, about a girl with a baby, about how important it is not to drive by. And what happened next? The children asked, although they knew the story by heart. And then there was love, family, happiness, and many, many children whom we helped find their home. How did your parents help you? This relay race of goodness, it shouldn't interrupt. Late in the evening, when the house was quiet, Maxim took out that old photograph again. Blurry, black and white, but so important. Elena came up from behind, hugged. What about do you think? About how one moment could change everything, if I had driven by, but you didn't get through. And look what grew out of it. Family, funds, hundreds of saved children. You know, sometimes I think, Maybe it was your father from heaven who directed my car, or your parents. They would be proud of you. I hope so. I built a business empire thinking it was my legacy. But it turned out that the legacy is the people, whom you love and who love you. The next day Lisa called with news. Dad, Mom, I have an important decision. I'm leaving the law firm. I'll be work only in funds. This is my calling. Maxim and Elena exchanged glances. Are you sure? This is a big step. As sure as you were when stopped then in the rain. Some decisions are made not with your head, but heart. And the work began to boil with renewed vigor. Lisa became completely immersed in the development funds, opening branches all over Russia and Europe. Vanya created a social enterprise where graduates of orphanages worked. The grandchildren joined in volunteer programs. The family business grew and expanded. On the 30th anniversary of that, a big celebration was being prepared for the meeting. But a week before the event, Maxim got into hospital. Heart. The doctors reassured me, nothing to worry about, age, I need peace. But Maxim was stubborn. I have to be there. This is our day. And he was there. On crutches, supported by Vanya, but he was there. Hundreds of people gathered in the hall, pupils of foundations who have become successful adults, foster families, volunteers, partners. 30 years ago, Maxim began. His voice trembled, but it was firm. I almost made the biggest mistake of my life, almost passed by my happiness. Thank fate for that rain, for that traffic jam, for everything that made me stop. Today I look at you all and understand that this is real wealth. People whose lives have been improved. Children who have found families. It's worth more than all the money in the world. Lisa walked up to her father and took the microphone. 30 years back, a little girl stood in the rain and didn't know what her life was. Now will change forever. Today this girl thanks fate for the man who didn't pass by. Dad, you saved not only Vanya, Mom, and me. You showed us what it means to be human. And we pass this on to our children, to the Foundation's pupils, to everyone who is ready. Listen. Don't pass by someone else's misfortune. Stop and help. This will change the world. The audience stood up. The ovation lasted a long time. Maxim cried, not embarrassed by tears. His family stood nearby, his wife, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Wealth, his happiness, his life. In the evening at home, when the guests had left, and the family was sitting in the living room, little great-granddaughter Lizochka, named after her great-grandmother, came up to Maxim. Grandfather, and show me the photo. He took out the treasured photo. See, it's your great-grandmother is little. And why is she sad? Because she was scared and cold. But you saved her. We saved each other. Grandpa, and when I grow up, I will too. I will stop and help. Of course, honey, this is our family tradition. And if I don't make it to an important meeting, it means it wasn't that big after all. Important. The most important meetings are the ones that are not planned. That night Maxim Sergeyevich Volkonsky fell asleep smiling. He dreamed of rain, highway, a small figure on the side of the road. But now he knew how this would end. History. Happiness. Love. Family and hundreds of lives saved. And on the bedside table lay that very same photograph, the moment that changed everything. A reminder of that sometimes you have to stop in full swing to find what you were looking for all my life. A real home, a real family. The real meaning, the story of a businessman who almost knocked down a girl as a baby, was passed down from generation to generation. But those who knew her personally understood that it is not just a story of salvation. It is a story of how love wins. Loneliness, like kindness, returns to the old woman. Like one moment of humanity can create a whole universe of happiness. And somewhere there, in the heavens, those were smiling, who brought them together on that rainy March evening. Lisa's grandfather, parents Maxima, Madame Jean Dubois. They all knew, some meetings are predetermined. You just have to not drive past.